Fucking pussy.
A tragedy had recently struck the Peterson household. Their eldest son, Caleb, had been killed in Afghanistan. Laura, the mother, sat in the living room, holding a photograph. Caleb in his military uniform, alive and smiling. The mother's gaze was vacant, as if time around her had stopped. A knock at the door brought her back to reality. She had grown accustomed to opening it for people who came to offer their condolences. A young man stood on the threshold. He introduced himself before she had a chance to ask. "My name is David Collins. I served with Caleb. We were close friends." Laura looked at him for several seconds. Then she silently opened the door wider. David stepped inside, glanced around, and sat where she indicated. Out of politeness, she offered coffee. David spoke calmly and without unnecessary words. After being wounded, he was hospitalized and spent a long time recovering. As soon as he was discharged, he came here. When David said he had been by Caleb's side in his final moments, Laura fell silent. Her face turned to stone. She had known that sooner or later someone would say something like this to her, but hearing it out loud and in her own living room from a stranger was nothing like she had imagined. The last thing he said was about you, about family, about how much he loves you. Laura stood up, excused herself, and left the room. Behind the closed door, she could no longer hold back her emotions and wept, pressing her palm to her mouth so David wouldn't hear. After some time, she washed her face and returned. Her face was pale. The former soldier had found a photograph of Caleb. In it were also his army friends, among them David himself. "I probably should have called ahead," said David, stepping toward the exit.
Wait, no.
"My daughter will want to see you. And Luke too." David agreed. Anna heard voices from the kitchen and decided to find out what was going on. Her mother was in good spirits. David was telling funny stories from the army. Anna greeted the new guest and left for work. She wasn't interested at all, just another one of her brother's old acquaintances. There had been enough of those already. By this point, Laura had asked her son's friend to stay at least a couple of days. From her daughter's expression, it was clear the idea didn't sit well with her. The scene shifts to school. We are shown the younger son. At school, he is an easy target. He is constantly bullied.
Fucking pussy.
When he returned home, a bruise had already appeared on his face. David noticed it the moment the boy stepped through the door. "What happened?" he asked. "A ball in gym class," Luke answered, not raising his eyes. David didn't argue. He simply nodded, as if he believed it, and immediately changed the subject. Spencer, the father, came home last. The two men exchanged glances in the doorway, and between them there instantly arose a tension that words couldn't describe. A veteran with trauma. That's not a guest, that's a risk. Laura listened in silence, then reminded him who had last seen their son alive. Spencer gave in. He handed David a can of beer before dinner, not in a friendly way, but not with hostility either. Late that evening, they found themselves in front of the television. The house was quiet. Only the sound of a game nobody was watching anymore. It was strange how quickly a stranger could become familiar. In just a few days, David had become a part of this couch, this screen, this silence between two tired men. The game had long ended. Neither of them left. When David mentioned he was planning to leave for Florida, Spencer didn't want that. "Stay a few more days. What's the rush?" The next day, he picked Luke up from school himself. The boy saw him at the gate and froze. David said his mother had asked him to. Then he added, "I want to know the truth about the bruise." Finally, he pointed to a group of guys near a bar a couple of blocks from the school. David looked at them for a few seconds. He said, "Let's go." Luke lingered by the door. He didn't want to go in, but he didn't dare object. David went in first. Inside it was smoky and loud. The group sat at a corner table, 4 of them self-assured with cheap beer. David called the bartender over and ordered the most expensive cocktail for each of them, plus drinks for the girls. And for the guys, cosmopolitans. They didn't have to wait long. One stood up, walked over, and without a word hurled a glass straight into David's face.
Have it.
He didn't flinch. He wiped his face with the back of his hand. Luke caught some of it too. Not badly, but noticeably. The bar owner appeared with a baseball bat. David looked at him calmly, reminded him about the underage patron in the establishment, and placed some bills on the counter.
For the damages.
That same evening, Laura insisted that Anna take David to a party at Kristen's. She said Caleb would have wanted his friend and his sister to spend time together. Anna grimaced but agreed. When she was walking to the bathroom, the door unexpectedly swung open. David was standing inside. The moment was brief and awkward. Both quickly pretended nothing had happened. At the party, Kristen noticed him immediately. When her ex-boyfriend started making a scene, David stepped in quietly and quickly, showing him the door. Kristen was impressed. Later, they went off together to her room. David lay beside her and his face remained blank, as if he were somewhere else entirely. That same night, he found Craig, who was running with Zeke's crowd and, by rumor, dealing in more than just drugs. When Craig learned David was from the army, he immediately offered his services. David responded without pause. He needed a gun. Craig asked why. David smiled faintly. "I'm a soldier. I like having a weapon within reach." They exchanged numbers. David put his phone in his pocket and became again what he had been the whole time. Polite, calm, slightly detached. Not a single feature of his face betrayed that he had just ordered a weapon. Anna had a fight with Zeke. No job, no plans, just half-empty promises. She left the party early and asked David to drive her home. In the car, she talked a lot. About the money for school she'd been saving herself. About the exhaustion of being with someone who doesn't move and doesn't want to. David listened. He said something simple and precise. She smiled for the first time in a long while. She promised to make him a mixtape. In the morning, Anna found the cassette, walked to his room. She stopped. The door was not shut, just ajar. From behind the door, David's voice, quiet but distinct. The words didn't form any normal conversation. Dental records, fingerprints. Someone was trying to track him down, and he needed a new face that no one would recognize. Anna stepped back from the door and called the military base he had mentioned. The operator listened, paused, and answered. No such person was on their roster. The matter was classified. That phone call changed everything. Anna sat motionless for a long time after the operator hung up. She replayed everything she knew. The conversation at the door, the plastic surgeon, the military base that didn't want to know him. Each fact on its own could be explained. Altogether, no. On the other end of the line, the operator had been given instructions. If anyone asks about David Collins, the answer is one. He is dead. The scene shifts to an office where a meeting is in progress. An agent enters and says an urgent matter has come up, so the meeting needs to stop. They discuss the situation and say they will need special forces to apprehend David. It turns out he is not just an ordinary soldier. We are shown a scene in which David purchases a weapon. He disassembles the pistol with remarkable speed. And instead of simply buying the gun, he kills the seller and drives away. When Anna tried to explain everything to her father, in the phone call, the conversation at the door, the plastic surgeon with a revoked license in Miami, Spencer refused to listen. By that point, David had firmly become part of their lives. The father took his side and demanded that his daughter apologize.
My friend Craig was killed today. He was shot, I don't know.
That same night, David came to her room. Quietly, without knocking. She didn't even hear the door open. She simply looked up from her book, and he was already standing there. He spoke gently, said he understood her concern, that he would be leaving in a few days, that it would be better not to get involved in matters she didn't understand. Every word was courteous, and every word was a warning. His voice was calm. Anna nodded. David was almost at the door when he saw the cassette on the dresser. He picked it up, smiled, as if nothing had happened. Luke believed him until the very end.
Hey, faggot!
When he was attacked at school again, he fought back and was sent to the principal's office. David came with Laura. The principal said Luke would likely be expelled. But David objected and began defending Luke, arguing it was self-defense and that no one needed this expulsion story spreading around the whole neighborhood. The principal replaced expulsion with a month of community service.
Who are you? I'm a friend of the family.
Luke felt indebted. He told David himself about Anna's plans and that she was digging deeper and intended to go to the police, and added that he knew about the surgeon, about the new face, but he wouldn't give her away. David asked, had Anna told anyone else? Luke answered, Kristen probably. In the yard, David was helping Laura with the laundry. She was thanking him, for Luke, for the support, for coming. David took an armful of clothes and went inside. Carver arrived quietly. The team spread out. He approached Laura, showed her a photograph. She confirmed, yes, that's David. He just went inside. David appeared in the doorway with laundry in his hands, and understood everything in an instant. He dropped the clothes, drew his pistol, took down 2 men, and retreated back into the house. A bullet had grazed his thigh. He bandaged the wound and made his way to his hidden weapons cache. When a soldier came climbing through the window, 1 shot, 2 more, right after. The house shook from return fire outside. In the kitchen, he found Laura. She was calling the police. He tore the phone away. She looked at him and asked, who are these people? Did he really know Caleb?
Did you even know my son?
He answered the last question. Yes, they were in the same program, and Caleb would have understood what needed to be done. Laura screamed. She wanted to warn the special forces, but David didn't let her finish.
He's here to get...
He moved out fast. He disabled the cars by shooting out the tires. Spencer appeared on the road. David didn't swerve. The collision crumpled both vehicles. He walked to the crushed hood, looked at Spencer, and said quietly, "I'm sorry." Then he fired. At the cafe where Anna worked, only Kristen was there. David learned she had just left. He understood where. Anna had gone to get Luke. Kristen knew too much, so David killed her quickly. And on his way out, tossed 2 grenades. No witnesses, no traces. Carver managed to reach Anna first. He took her and told her the truth on the way. David was a participant in a classified behavioral modification program. They had made him into the perfect soldier and lost control. He burned down the laboratory, killed everyone inside, and left charred bodies as evidence of his own death. The whole world thought he was gone, until today. When Anna called the base, she had accidentally revealed his trail. At the school, a Halloween event was underway. Luke was helping set up decorations. The teacher had collected the phone, so he didn't see Anna's call. Carver and Anna managed to get to Luke.
What's going on? We need to go.
Anna hugged him, quickly, tightly. Something about the silence was wrong. That particular silence that comes before things go sideways. Almost immediately, the lights went out.
Oh shit.
Music began pouring from the speakers, the very music from the cassette. The teacher led them through the mirror maze toward the emergency exit. Around the first corner, David was waiting. Carver ordered Anna and Luke to run. He stayed. He fought for a long time, but David was in no hurry. When it was over, Carver lay alone in the darkness. Luke didn't want to believe it. He kept saying David was just running away, that he needed help. Anna stopped him. She said it plainly. He killed Mom and Dad. Luke went silent, then nodded. Anna told him to hide and not move, whatever he heard. Luke wanted to object. She could see it on his face, but he said nothing. He nodded. He disappeared into the darkness between the rows of stage props. Anna waited until his silhouette vanished, then moved forward. She found him in a dark corridor. He stood against the wall, nearly invisible in the darkness. Anna raised her gun and fired. David fell. She moved closer, and then he struck from below. The knife went into her leg. She pulled the trigger again, but the bullet only shattered a light fixture, and a fire broke out in the building. David closed his hands around her throat. "Stop!" Luke stepped out of the shadows and drove in the knife. The very one David had once given him himself. David sank to the floor. He looked at the boy, smiled, raised his thumb, and said the boy had done everything right, that he shouldn't feel guilty. They made it out of the burning building through a side door. Outside it was cold and bright from the floodlights. Someone was already shouting. Someone was running toward them. Outside, firefighters, police, flashing lights. They were helped into an ambulance. Anna watched the fire and tried to understand when exactly it had become clear, from the very beginning or only now. Then one of the firefighters exited the building. He walked strangely with a limp. He stopped, turned toward her.